That's just who I am. Big tea drinker. Big tea drinker. So back to the football side of things. Oregon secondary has been the best surprise to me through the first 3 games. They're one of the leaders in passes defended in all of college football. They don't have a ton of interceptions, but I am incredibly pleased with how this secondary has looked. And coming into the season, it was the position group defensively I had the most questions about. And the questions were twofold. Number one, if Jaleel Florence is not healthy, which he doesn't appear to be because he's been on the injury report and not playing the first few games, who steps up at the number 2 corner position? That answer has been, I think, pretty clearly shown to be Dante Manning and Nikko Reed. I think both have been really, really solid. My second question was, is your safety rotation as expected, which it has been, Kobe Savage, Brandon Johnson, Tysheem Johnson, and I consider the nickel a safety, you call it nickel star, whatever, but who's going to back them up? Who's going to be the next guy? Because somebody that is either a redshirt or a true freshman is going to wind up being on the 2 deep. And if someone goes down, has to come out for a play, or, gets dinged up or whatever, gets suspended for targeting, then that's going to be someone that suddenly plays an important role. The answer to that question has been Tyler Turner, 2023 4-star recruit, redshirt freshman, didn't really play a lot last year, but on special teams, he's been out on the field. I think he's done some nice things. I think he can still improve and, get used to seeing real game action, to have his reactions be just a touch quicker. But overall, he's been solid. He had, I think, one poor coverage incident that didn't get exploited against Idaho. Other than that, been solid in the snaps that he's seen on the field. But the secondary is just making a lot of plays. And when you look at the Pro Football Focus grades, which I don't think is a be-all, end-all, but I do think is a good starting point because they are looking at every play and evaluating, and I think there are times where the grades are a little low or a little high compared to the impact that guys are actually having. It's kind of the epitome of something that I say all the time on the show. Stats are a starting point, not an end point. It guides you, but it doesn't ultimately bring you to where you're trying to get to. So for this Oregon secondary, I've been really happy. Brandon Johnson is phenomenal. He's got the highest coverage grade of any Oregon defensive back, safety, or corner. That shouldn't be surprising with the way he's been knocking balls out of the air. But as I talked about with Eric yesterday on the show, Nikko Reed has been the biggest individual surprise. Seeing Dante Manning play well, it's his 5th year of college football. It's his 3rd year with Dan Lanning and Tosh Lupoy in this particular system. And I think we know what Dante Manning is right now and what he has been for the last several years. He can make some plays. He's capable. He's not a liability. He's not going to be an all-conference caliber corner. I don't expect him to be. I know that's the expectation a lot of people had for him when he was recruited to Oregon as a 5-star. I think he's the highest rated corner. Someone can correct me on this. Pretty sure Dante Manning's the highest rated corner to ever commit to the Ducks. And he's been a solid player. Has he been what he was built up to be? No. Because if he were, he would have left Oregon 2 years ago and gone in the NFL. But he's capable. He makes plays. When he goes up against the Jeremiah Smiths and Emeka Ibukas of the world, I don't expect him to have the same level of success. But last 2 games against Oregon State, Dante Manning's been great. He had the interception last year in the end zone of DJU. Had a good game on Saturday against the Beavs once again. So Manning's been what I expect. But Nikko Reed, I think, has been a surprise, not just to me, but maybe to many Oregon fans who are thinking about names like Cam Alexander or Dalen Austin or Roderick Pleasant. Those guys had an opportunity, I think, to get in the fold, and Nikko Reed, a veteran himself and a second-year Duck, has just outplayed him. And every time I watch Nikko Reed, I feel like he's never getting beat. I can't remember if the trick play against Idaho, which I don't care about a ton because, it's a trick play. You executed, good for you. I can't remember if that was his assignment. I didn't study that play in full depth, but I think he was on that side. Don't remember. Don't quote me on that. But when Nikko Reed has been called upon, he's been there. Boise State, couple of pass breakups, and against Idaho, he had the game-clinching interception, and he had another good game on Saturday against Oregon State. Every single defensive back, except for one, I think Dante Manning's like just a touch below on PFF, has an overall grade of at least 70 or above. 70 is kind of the metric for, hey, this guy is doing well in this category, or this guy is having a good season, or that's what they use to evaluate as a good player. It's like 70 If you're in that range, good, solid. 80 and above, really good. 90 and above, you're one of the best in the entire country. That's an incredibly hard grade to get, which is how actual grades used to work and how they should work, but it's not how it goes anymore because now the average is like a B or a B plus and whatnot, and it's all ridiculous. But anyway. So I love what I've seen from the secondary. And by the way, I don't think I shouted out this play enough. Tysheem Johnson's tackle of Walker, that Beavs wide receiver, who looks like a pretty good football player, on third and 5, 3rd and 6, something like that. I remember watching that on TV, and it was a good play design from the Oregon State offensive coordinator, whose name is escaping me right now. He was under Chip Kelly at UCLA as a tight ends coach, I think. And he calls a play, and you see him running, and I'm going, oh gosh, that's going to be a first down, another 3rd down conversion. Oregon State's going to run more time off the clock. And then Tysheem comes up and makes just a heck of a tackle. I mean, it is open field. Walker's at full speed. He reads it perfectly, knocks him out of bounds, and then the Bees false start. They have to kick a field goal. Mateo Uyunglele drives the lineman back, blocks him into it, kind of a low kick, and everything goes really, really well from there. So the impact of the secondary, I don't think can be understated. I don't think their interception numbers are among the highest in all of college football, but their pass deflections are. And one thing that I wondered about this group entering the season was, do you have playmakers back there? Do you have guys that are going to make game-altering plays? And that's what we have seen. Nico Reed interception to seal the game against Idaho. Brandon Johnson pass deflection in perfect coverage on 3rd down against Boise State to get the ball back to the offense for the game-winning drive. Those are the sorts of moments, or Nico Reed against Boise State. Flawless coverage in the end zone to force a field goal try on 3rd down instead of maybe a touchdown. And that receiver, I think, was several inches taller than him, and he was in a really, really good spot. I've loved what I've seen from the secondary so far. They've made some plays in the run game, though maybe not as many as, think of like a Javon Holland maybe, or Evan or Bennett Williams have been really active tacklers or whatnot. These guys have been doing it more in the passing game, and I'm here for that. Because Oregon will face some capable passing teams this year. One team to watch out for in the Big Ten, by the way, Illinois. See what they do against Nebraska on Friday. I think Nebraska is going to win that game pretty comfortably because the Cornhuskers are really good. But Illinois is 3-0. I didn't think they would be, and they look better than I thought. So I think for matchups like that, you need to have guys that can just cover, that can go. We know what Jabbar Muhammad can do. I think he's off to a fine start. Not the best football that he's going to play as an Oregon Duck, but I think he's doing just fine. And everybody else is making impact plays. And it's been a really, really good thing to see. So that's been the most surprising singular position group of the season so far for the Ducks. If you've got another group out there or a player, by all means, drop in the YouTube comments, hit me up on X, formerly known as Twitter, or become a Locked On Ducks insider. Link is in the description below. You can get a free 14-day trial. You get all sorts of perks, including, but not limited to, priority mailbag access.